What's up, gamers? Devas of Creation. Man, this game looks hecking cool. I'm hyped for this game, and I cannot wait for the game to open up for testing. If you've clicked on this video and you're wondering what the heck is Devas of Creation, then watch this video all the way through, and my introductory video will be linked later. Now, I don't know about you all, but personally, I'm most looking forward to the player versus enemy gameplay because the PvE gameplay looks like it'd be quite nutty. Speaking of the PvE gameplay, we're gonna talk about that in a bit and showcase all of the mobs and bosses that I could find in all of the teasers on the official channel. And later on, I'm gonna give a theory about another boss that could potentially be added. So let's not waste any more time and let's dive in. And also, all of the in-game footage isn't final as it's developer footage, nor is it mine. Once again, I'm gonna be linking the official DOC channel below since that's where I got all of the in-game footage. So if you want to, go subscribe to them and give them some love. Okay, to start off, DOC's PvE modes will be in the forms of two things: boss raids and mobs. So in the world of DOC, there will be bosses that clans or solo players can fight for some loot drops, while also having diverse areas that will contain lesser enemies for fighting to level up. We can see a few of these areas in the development trailer, along with a few examples of many of the denizens in these areas. If you watch the trailer, you can see centaurs, snakes, living mushrooms, all of which have different levels that will require different levels of skill and equipment. All right, let's show off all of the mobs and bosses. I'll show all of the mobs that we know of in the game right now, starting with the lowest level mob. The Danger Noodle, I mean snakes. The snake is a mob enemy that players can encounter in the world of Devas of Creation. In the sneak peek, they were level 3, and they're encounterable in the desert. For some reason, they remind me of Ekans from Pokemon. Next is the Centaurs and the Air Warlords. I'm putting these two enemies here because they are both the same level. At least they are in the sneak peeks. The Centaur is a mob enemy in Devas of Creation that is available for encountering in plain areas. The Air Warlords, however, are weaker mobs that players can encounter in the Catacombs area. Both the Centaurs and the Air Warlords are level 5, so depending on how strong you may become, these guys might be pretty easy to defeat. Now let's talk about two more enemies that are the same level as each other: the Mushrooms and the Watchers. The Mushrooms are mob enemies that players can encounter in what looks like plains areas alongside the Centaurs, and are also available for players to fight so they can level up. The Watchers, however, are enemies that players can encounter inside of the Catacombs alongside the Air Warlords. Both of these enemies are level 8. I don't know about you guys, but the Watcher kind of looks like something out of Lovecraftian lore, like something Cthulhu would spawn out of frickin' thin air, I don't know. On the topic of watching, if you're enjoying these kinds of videos, then don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to be covering the game here when it releases, and it's going to be absolutely epic. So do that, and let's move on. Oh, and baby girl, make sure to also like the video, okay? Thanks, appreciate you. And sadly, there is only one more mob that I know of that has been shown off, and that is the Nightmare Lord. The Nightmare Lord is the mob enemy that players can encounter in Devas of Creation in the Catacombs area. This mob is a floating spectre-like enemy that will probably be very powerful since they are level freaking 25. So if you get into the game and you go into the Catacombs, watch out for these guys. Now let's talk about the bosses. As of right now, there are only 2 bosses that are in the game, and they look sick. So let's start off with the most well-known one, Bayam the Underground Keeper. Bayam, or Bayam, depending on how you pronounce it, the Underground Keeper is a boss in Devas of Creation that players will be able to fight inside of the Catacombs area. This boss is a huge enemy that has his own area for players to fight him in. He is a level 40 boss and will be available for encountering somehow. Bayam will attack players with electricity-based attacks and will also not be afraid to use his scythe staff to dish out some N1 damage to you and your allies. The one ability we see him use looks kinda painful, so when the game opens up, make sure to dodge the attack. I mean, unless you want to die, but hey, you do whatever you want. I ain't gonna tell you what to do. As for the second boss, it is the dragon. We currently have no information about the dragons, but we know that there are dragons in the game thanks to this clip. Now, I don't know about you, but that looks like a funny flying, spicy breath spewing lizard. So that's a safe assumption. But other than that one clip, we literally know nothing about the dragons. Okay, and also this clip. Even though you can still kinda see the dragon, we still don't know much about dragons. So those are all the bosses that were shown, but let's talk about one theory that I have for a future boss that might be coming to the game in the future. But before we can talk about what the boss is, we have to understand some lore from one of the game's races' lore. Specifically, the Elithriel's lore. Feel free to skip to this timestamp on screen if you want to skip me reading through the lore, but come on, man, it's interesting. Plus, I'm not gonna read everything in the Elithrian lore. That would take too long. But seriously though, stay and listen. It's cool. The creature, upon receiving the uncherished treasure, said nothing as the king unfolded his little performance. Satisfied, the king bowed and returned to the land with his retinue, believing himself wise. But when winter next came, it did not end. It stayed well beyond what the seasons had permitted. The people grew cold, confused, and worried. The king, in his pride and audacity, claimed that the creature had betrayed the covenant, spinning an elaborate tale of woe and heartbreak. The people, moved by his words, answered the call to arms to punish the wicked beast that lay claim to the royal firstborn of each generation. As this piece of lore states, there was this magical beast that lived at the top of a mountain near a kingdom in the land of Elithriel. Both lived together peacefully until the events of the piece of lore I just talked about. So why do I bring all this up? Well, my theory is that they failed in their attempts to beat the mighty beast, and it is up to the player to defeat him. I'll let you guys go crazy on what you think the attacks could be and what he would look like, but for sure, that beast could be coming to the game here soon. So what do you guys think? Are you excited for the release of Devas of Creation? Did I miss any enemies? Let me know down in the comments below. But if you haven't checked out my introductory video for Devas of Creation, then make sure to click on it here and go watch it. But other than that, thanks for watching.